Have you ever looked back at something that almost broke you and realized that if it hadn't happened, you wouldn't be the woman you are today? I have. And as crazy as it sounds, there are some things that I used to beg God to take away that I now thank Him for. And not because they didn't hurt, because, honey, the friendships that ended, the disappointment, the tears that nobody knew I cried, and the nights that I questioned everything, the moments that I wondered, God, why me? If you would have told me then that one day I'll thank God for those seasons, I probably would have said, please get out my face, respectfully. Because when you're in the middle of the pain, you're not just trying to survive it. You're not thinking about the purpose. You're not thinking about the growth. You're just trying to make it till tomorrow. But something in me shifted. I stopped looking at my life through the lens of why did this happen to me? And I started trying to look at what was this teaching me? And that one question changed everything because I realized my pain had been teaching me all along. It taught me who I was. It taught me who God was. And it taught me that not everyone who walks into my life is meant to stay. It taught me that disappointment isn't always rejection. Sometimes it's redirection. And today, I just want to talk girl to girl about what pain taught me and why I believe that sometimes the lesson is really the blessing. Hey, honey. Welcome back to Becoming. If this is your first time here, I'm Sarah LaJoy, and this space is for the woman who's been everything to everyone else, but hasn't always felt seen. Here, we give ourselves permission to grow, heal, and ask the hard questions, to become the woman that God has always known we could be. So grab your coffee, take a deep breath, and let's become together. So, I used to think that pain was just something that we had to survive. Put a band-aid on it, some Neosporin, and go ahead about your business. Like, okay, God, let's fast forward a little bit. Because nobody wakes up and just asks for a hard season. Nobody prays for the heartbreak. Nobody asks for the disappointment. Nobody ever asks to lose anyone they love. We ask for peace. We ask for joy. We ask for blessings. And sometimes those blessings, they come wrapped in lessons. And I didn't realize that until I started looking back instead of just looking around. Because when you're in the middle of everything, it all feels personal. You start to ask yourself questions that you'll never have the answers to. Was I too much? Did I expect too much? Should I have stayed quiet? Was I not enough? And I don't know if you've ever done that before, just sat in your car, replaying conversations that ended 3 days ago, rewriting them in your head, thinking about the things that you wish you would have said, or maybe some things you wish you never said. And I've done that more times than I like to admit. But one day I realized that I wasn't just replaying the conversations, I was replaying the pain, hoping that I'd get a different ending. But life doesn't work like that. Sometimes closure isn't another conversation. Sometimes closure is just deciding that you're not carrying it anymore. Pain taught me that everybody isn't going to love me the way that I love them. And honey, did that one hurt? Because if I'm honest, I love big. I remember the birthdays. I check on people. I celebrate people. If you're quiet, I'm probably going to ask what's wrong. How can we fix it? Hell, now, what are we learning? Shoot. But that's just who I am. And for the longest time, I expected people to love me the way I naturally love them. And not because I was keeping score, but because if I would do it for them, why would they not do it for me? Oh, okay. But anyways, that hurt. I think that right there taught me so much because not everybody was taught to show up emotionally. Some people don't have have it to give. Some people are fighting battles that you never know about. Some people just simply don't have the capacity to give what you keep expecting from them. And this doesn't make you unworthy. It doesn't automatically make them a bad person. It just means you're expecting apples from someone who has only ever grown oranges. But pain also taught me that I don't have to chase people to keep them. And let's just sit with that, because I used to think that every relationship I was in, every friendship, every whatever, that it was my job to save it. If the communication stopped, I'll reach out. If the plans fell through, it's okay. What about next week? If something felt off, I will start to wondering, what did I need to fix? But I'm understanding, and I know relationships are a two-way street. And that's something I've always known. But it just never, it's on me. It's what I thought. But you shouldn't always be the one driving. And I had to learn that showing up halfway, meeting someone halfway, isn't too much. It's healthy, actually. And if someone continues to allow you to carry the whole relationship, then maybe the lesson isn't to keep on. Maybe it's to let it go. But one of the hardest things that pain ever taught me was that letting go doesn't always mean that you stop loving someone. Sometimes you let go because holding on, it just hurts you a little more. I used to think that letting go was giving up. But now, sometimes letting go is just trusting God enough to stop forcing what He already might be trying to move. And that doesn't mean that you stop praying for people. It doesn't mean that you stop wishing them well. It just means that you're no longer carrying the weight that was never meant for you to carry. But just know that healing isn't becoming someone new. It's remembering who God created you to be before life convinced you otherwise. And just think about who you would be before the betrayal, before the heartbreak, before the disappointment, before anybody ever made you question your worth. Who were you? Because I think somewhere along the way that life not only just changes us, but it covers. It covers our joy, our confidence, our softness. But healing, it slowly takes those layers away one by one. And you're not becoming someone else. You're just coming back home. And I think that's why I can thank God now for the pain. Not because I enjoyed it. And not because I would ever ask for it. But because it introduced me to a version of myself that I would have never met otherwise. I am now a woman who reacts a little slower. I pray a little quicker. I am a little wiser. I'm a little softer. I'm more rooted. I'm not perfect, but I am becoming. And honestly, I think that's what the gift of pain was trying to teach me all along. And what's crazy is it didn't happen all at once. It wasn't one big moment. A memory here, conversation here. Just little by little. Seeing someone that I used to be upset with and would have probably, I put money on it. I told you, I'll never talk to this person again. But I'm not mad anymore. I'm not upset. I pray for them. And I genuinely mean it. I wish them the best. Is that the case for everybody who's ever hurt me? No. But little by little. Sometimes healing is so quiet that you don't even notice that it's happening until one day something that would have triggered you, it doesn't. It doesn't move you. I like to stick with Joel 2:25 because it just makes sense now. I will restore to you the years that swarming locusts have eaten. This verse says that I know you lost something, but I restore. Child. And restoration isn't always getting back what you thought you lost. I used to think that one day God would just sit me down and explain every why they left, why it didn't work out, why I cried so much. But I don't think that's what I've been learning. I don't think God owes me an explanation for every chapter. I think he's just been inviting me to trust him while I'm still reading the story, still walking through it. And if I'm honest, there are some things that I still don't understand, yet I'm here, still standing, still smiling. And that has to count for something. Because I used to think that the blessing was getting exactly what I prayed for, but now sometimes the blessing is just becoming the woman that I never would have became if it went according to my plan. And that's a hard truth. But if every prayer had been answered the way I wanted it, I would have missed out on so many quiet miracles. I would have missed the peace that only comes from leaning on God. And looking back, I don't see a life that was falling apart. I see a life that was being put together differently than I expected. But being able to look back and say, God, I didn't understand it then, but I know a little more now. Some memories still hurt, and some losses still make my heart ache and my ass itch. But they don't make me question God anymore. Knowing that he carried me through all of those seasons, it just brings a little joy to what's to come. So let me just leave you with this one question here. Who are you today because of something that you wish never happened? Just think about it. Now, honey, if this episode reminded you of anyone, send it to her, because you never know how one conversation can change someone's day. Remember, every voice I share, every lesson I learn, every story I tell is so you walk away with something. Until next time, keep becoming, and I love y'all real bad, real bad.